First, I want to welcome everybody out. You know, we've never talked a lot about choice, so this is kind of cool for me to get some feedback from some parents and, you know, some positive feedback or improvement feedback, both. But want to welcome y'all out tonight so we can kind of hear your experiences you have related to school choice. A couple things before I open it up, just so you know, Jamie Holloman is right here, and she's going to talk a little bit about all, you know, some of the deadlines, what all we go through and everything. But before she does that, I wanted everybody to know we're a choice district, which is gives us some advantages in certain areas. In other words, one of the things is that because we have choice opportunities in almost every school that we do in every school in our district, means we get a calculate our class size by school-wide average, which helps us. So that's a big advantage of having choice opportunities. We've created a lot of different choice models, and Jamie will talk about some of them. We even have now that if you're in a private school and you want to come back to our school system, that you can choice into the school that you pick, give it an opportunity. Now, we try to encourage you to look in the zone that you're currently living in and take it a look and try to encourage you to go there, because it does help us when we're doing our staffing, because it's kind of like when you're figuring your numbers, you know who all's there. When you pull so many kids out of a zone and put them into another, it makes us have to be a little bit more creative, but we've been able to handle that. So before we get started, come on in. Jamie, why don't you give them a few, you know, like a little bit about like the deadline, you know, deadlines and things that we have. Jamie Holloman, she runs our choices. Give her a big hand for being here tonight.
Thank you. I wouldn't have a job if you weren't doing school choice. Well, thank you. And there are some deadlines. And March 1st, everyone thinks that's the deadline for everything, but actually that's for magnet programs, to apply for magnet programs and for the employees so they can do school choice. But school choice, we do school reassignment all year long. There's hardships that maybe some of you have applied for hardships, so you can write your letter explaining what your hardship might be and why you would like to reassign. And then the committee will look at your needs and see if they can help you place your student where it best serves you. But so if there's everything that we refer to is on our website, and so you can visit our website or in our office or give us a call if you ever have any questions. We're here for you. Thank you.
All right. As we get started, what I like to do is kind of give you like about a 10-minute of the district, where we are right now, what we're doing, where we're heading, and we'll go right into Q&A. Any questions you have or any input you could give us to improve the choice, you know, what you think would have made it better for us or for you, and how we can get more information out there. We are the highest performing majority minority school district in the state, which we're very proud of that. We're number one. Our school district has changed over the years some related to that. We currently do a lot of what I consider creative things, unique things in our district we're proud of. Number one, if your child rides a school bus, there's a good chance they ride a compressed natural gas school bus. We're slowly beginning the process of converting all of our buses to CNG. You know, 97% of that fuel is in North America. You know, it's right here. We don't have to depend on foreign oil as far as for having that opportunity for that it's right there, American made, and it's cleaner, and it's great for the students, because they enjoy that because of the environment, and they get an opportunity to look at that and talk about it and everything. Mr. Youngblood, who is over our transportation system, can tell you, how far do our buses go every day?
We drive about 14,000 miles every day. We make 3,000 stops every morning, 3,000 stops every afternoon.
Wow, every day. Now, one of the things in our choice program that happens, in some of our magnet programs, we provide transportation. And that can be very difficult and challenging. Now, think about, like at Fairview, we have a pre-IB program that is right at Fairview Middle School, which is a magnet program for our whole. So let's think if your child is in the Fort Braden area, let's say, and you decide you want a choice in to be in part of that magnet program, and you're going to come all the way. And at the same time, we get students from Swift Creek and Deer Lake you can imagine the logistics and trying to run that transportation model. So one of the things we've done with a lot of our choice programs, and that might be a question that comes up tonight, is why don't we provide transportation with all of them? And it really, the answer is it's just too expensive. It becomes very hard for us to do it. So one of the things we added to choice was that if you are going to choice into one of our choice programs, that you would provide your own transportation to do that. And that's why we do that. And we do get a lot of requests for that. And sometimes requests even come after they've signed up to go into choice and they get to the school, then they start saying, well, can we find a way? And it becomes, that's something that becomes very, very difficult for us. During the recession, we lost about $110 million in this district. During that time, I'm very proud we didn't lose any teaching positions. We were able to get through it. It was a tough time. We maintained one of the highest performing statuses in the district. We've been an A district almost every year until they changed the criteria, then I think went to a B. We fought very hard the 10 years I've been superintendent against the over-testing of students. I feel like we're over-testing our students. It's been one of the big issues that I fought across the state about. We need to continue to offer courses that motivate our students to come to school every day. The fine arts courses, the music courses. One of the decisions we made during the recession was not to cut art, music, and PE from our elementary curriculum. A lot of school districts did that because it's expensive, and there's a cheaper way to do it, but cheaper isn't always what's best for kids. So I'm very proud that we did that and we kept that in place. And we do have a great school district, and that's one of the things I am proud of. And I'm glad that we're a choice district, that we do offer a lot of choice opportunities. I talked about the Fairview pre-IB. We also have the technology magnet at Godby that is very, very successful, very strong. We have the IB program at Rickards High School. I spent most of my career at Rickards High School. I started there. And a lot of students decide they want to go into that program and do that. And we have some parents that want to choose choice on the basis of they feel like that maybe they have a gospel choir at this school and they don't hear and they want to be, or it's a better music program or reasons like that. And we try to honor that as much as we can. And I think that covers the whole gamut of choice of what we hear from parents. What do you think, Jamie, is our number one request on choice? Is it mainly...
We get a lot of requests. They want to go to Leon High School because it's centrally located, or their parents went there to Leon.
Come on in.
All right, come on in. And unfortunately, there's just not enough seats for everybody for reassignment. So that's
good point. Let me explain that. I appreciate you bringing. That was a good point there. Like, you might make a request on a school choice, and you might get a call from us that says, guess what? We're full. Okay, and the reason why is because of the class size amendment. We cannot just keep putting, and even though we can calculate by school average instead of individual classrooms, once we fill up, so we might ask you for your second choice and then try to honor that. Have any of y'all had that where you didn't get your first choice? Oh, then we got happy people here then. We got happy. They're mostly happy then. So anything else, Jamie, I left out on that?
And well, this year we're excited that Godby is going to add aviation course too, and that's going to be a great offering. That I don't know of any other counties that offer aviation course as part of their magnet.
And let me tell you about aviation. I was over there the other day. I've been out visiting the career choices because I think that's one of the areas that we really have to gear up for, is to prepare our students for the workforce, and not just a job in Orlando or Atlanta. We'd like to prepare them for a job in our own community where they could be here and be part of it. And so one of the things I did is went out, did a career tour to look at what we have at Lively and all of our high schools. But I have to say at Godby, I got to fly the plane. So I was in the aviation, I sat down in the seat and got a chance to actually get that experience. And I said this at the school board the other night. I wish that every student in our school system at the elementary level could get a chance for that experience. Because for me, I keep thinking about it. I want to go back over there and try it again. Now, I wasn't very good at it, I want to tell you, but it was something that was very special to me because I actually got the feeling of what it was like to fly an airplane. And then I started thinking, well, maybe I could have been a pilot. So if I'm thinking that way, maybe elementary kids, our elementary students would think that way. Maybe they could be a pilot. So that was very exciting. And the aviation is, and some of these programs are pretty expensive to offer too. They're not, but that's okay. That's what we need to do. We need to be creative and find a way to get that done. Now, if we could, since, we've got a good group here, but some parents that have had experiences, any questions you might have or your own experience about choice that you felt like that maybe would have made it a easier situation? Has the deadline been a problem for you? You think having a March 1st deadline, or not really? So your experience has been positive? In the back. There we go. That's what I need.
I came in late and everybody's kind of sitting there like.
No, we were waiting on you.
But I came for that boy, so I'll jump in if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. The deadline, everything was great because you all provided a wealth of information out on the website for us to look at, basically year round, so that you kind of can put on your calendar and know when to ask about it. And so I called in advance and talked to the school choice office, and they were extremely helpful in terms of letting me know when to go back and look for the updated materials, and they were updated when they said they were. We knew in advance the school choice showcase was excellent. It was excellent. I have no complaint about it at all. We were actually the last family there. We were there all day almost. We had an opportunity to talk to all the choices. My son was coming from a charter school. He had never been in Leon County Public Schools. And so he had an opportunity to go from school to school, and every question that we presented, we received an answer. And so I kind of had set in my mind, okay, you're going to Fairview, to the IB program. But fate didn't have it that way once he went out and had an opportunity to visit with the schools. So that process in terms of you all having materials there, the deadline, excellent. School choice showcase, excellent.
During that school choice, the showcase, we've done that a lot of different ways. In the past, we used to have individual schools that had their own showcase, and the one you went to, were all the schools there at one time?
One-stop shop.
See, I like that a lot better, because then you get into, parents can take one night, they can come out, they can take a look at it, and then they can make their decision based upon that. And what decision did you make? Do you mind?
My son, actually, I let him make the choice. He selected Cobb Middle School Magnet Program, and everything was excellent in terms of how things are going with Cobb. He went out to, what do you call it?
Shadow.
The Shadow Days was excellent. And I have to tell you all that the person that was at Fairview that we communicated with about the IB program, I had the questions going. And everything I could ask her, is it blue? Is the sky blue outside? She had an answer. And so just excellent. So he chose Cobb, and the reason why he chose Cobb was because he said that I was heavily leaning on Fairview. And I said, well, why did you pick them? And he said, well, Mom, when I asked a question, the teacher could help me. And I said, well, son, you're in the 5th grade. Those kids are in the 6th grade. They're in an advanced placement curriculum and in the middle of the year. So it's going to be more challenging. He said, well, I know that, but at least when the teacher explained it at Cobb, I understood it a little bit more than the teacher at Fairview. And it was just that thing. He felt as though the teachers would do a better job of explaining to him. And then he really wanted to do robotics. But we didn't. We found out later that it was a club and not built into the curriculum. So kind of piggybacking on what you were saying just a minute ago in terms of, like the flying the plane and all. I think about the things that our schools offer in Leon County, and I realize that we're sitting on gems. But it's just a matter of having, I guess, a greater infrastructure or more exposure. Why can't elementary school students go on a field trip to the high school?
Absolutely.
Why can't they fly the plane?
Well, that's what I thought too.
Why can't robotics be built into the curriculum as opposed to just being something extracurricular? Why can't we have, the robotics team is big enough for 8. The club, we're splitting it up, is ran by the parents, which is kind of a challenge. We have 2 days set up. There's roughly 30 kids at Cobb that are participating in robotics, but each day that we go out and wait for the parents to pick them up, they're saying, well, what are you guys doing? Well, we're robotics, but, well, I want to be in that. If you build it, they'll come.
Absolutely.
So why not look into opportunities of building that particular part of the program even bigger?
That's why it's important for you to be here tonight. I mean, we've got a group of parents here because, believe it or not, when we hear ideas like this, we go back and try to implement them. We try to find a way. And when I, sat there the other day, and I sat there and I was flying the plane, I felt like I was a wannabe pilot, I guess, but I was trying to, and I was thinking the same thing. I said, why can't elementary students, as a whole, get some type of experience like this? We got to think of a way. And those are the challenges that we have, and I think that's what makes our school district great, is when we solve those problems and find a way to put the student where I was the other night and have them sit there and get that feeling. Because with your own children, that feeling could lead to that individual being a pilot.
Right.
Now, it's probably too late for me, but no, it might not be, but it's not too late for our students. And see, that's why we've got to continue to think, just like what you're saying, to get those experiences. And what always worries me in school choice, and you've touched on a little bit, is the time period you have when you're waiting to find out, are we going to listen to what you believe is important for your child? And I always worry about that because there's time that goes by. I mean, we have to process it. We have to look at numbers. And I wish there was a way that we could do that. I mean, how was your feeling on that during that time? Did you were you very nervous about it?
Yeah.
See,
I had twin girls going into middle school, and I didn't realize there was a showcase night, so we did all the open houses and went to all the middle schools and did the open house, and I brought my girls, and and they actually have selective mutism, so it's very different for them. So I wanted an environment where they were comfortable, and they love art, and there's not enough of that out there.
Absolutely.
And so we fell in love with Raw because of the art program. It's like, as their mom, I could see they were like filling up with excitement, like I could just pop them when we were in the art room, because of the neat opportunities they have and the awesome art room they have there. So that was one of the, that was the way I went. But during that time, it was like, if I don't get them in, what am I going to do? Like, I can't just move, like you just going through all these, all these things.
and their mind's made up. They want to go there.
Yeah,
'cause
and and they don't understand, that what we're doing behind the scenes, they don't understand. And I got one of the letters that said, we're sorry, Raw's full. And I'm like, oh my gosh, And so I'm like, I wrote, wrote you guys a letter and tried to explain the situation with my girls and why I felt as their mom. We know them best, so I knew that they would excel in here. If I go throw them in another school or send them to the school we're zoned for, not saying that it's a bad school or anything, I'm basically setting them up for failure, and just because of, I know them, as their parent, so.
So that
I went through
anxiety,
that.
there was real anxiety.
Yeah, it
And when
was.
you got the letter, did you tell them right away that they had not been accepted?
No.
Okay, I was
No.
wondering how you handle that. That's another thing I worry about. How do you?
I'm like, mom's got to figure this out.
Mom's got to get this done somehow. So.
And then of course, when we got letter in the mail, I'm like running in the house, like, y'all got it wrong,
Got in there.
we did, so it was an exciting time, but
And you touched on Rob because their fine art program is now recognized. Donna Calloway, who was there before, put a lot of effort and time into this, and Giselle has carried that forward, and other principals. And I think, having a niche at a school, like something special, sometimes people say, well, why do you allow this school to, but I think sometimes that's okay.
Yeah.
Because it gives the school an identity,
Right.
which they might have, which maybe they would not have had. If we just do everything the same in every school, it'll get pretty boring pretty quick. So,
Right.
you know, like when you look at the IB program at Rickards and you go see that, it's different.
Right.
And you see how the success some of the students have coming out of there, how many of their college courses are already exempted and they're ready to go because they did that.
Right.
And at the same time, you know, if you go to an AP program at Lincoln, it's very strong, very good. You get a different experience there, and at Childs and Godby, the IT program. So I think having different choices, you know, if I could get every school where they had their own identity,
Yeah.
that there was something there that everybody wanted, that you'd want to be there, I think that's when we'll have it just where we want it. Because like Raw would be there, and maybe Godby with their IT, Rickards with their IB, and do that where everybody has something, and then give opportunities.
Right.
So there was some anxiety though in that.
Yeah,
okay.
there was in that time period. Of kind of like, what are we gonna do? You
Right,
know, like,
and the good news is that showcase it, and it seems like school just got started for everybody, but now we're already getting ready for next school year to tell you what your options are, and so the showcase is about to happen in January. It'll be the second we always try to pick a couple days that'll work for everyone, so it'll be the second Saturday in January, and then Tuesday and Thursday. So, and it will be at the Bloxham building, and everybody, so it's one-stop shop. But we'll also have on our website, it has every school showcase that they're showcasing their own, and we really encourage that, because like your child made that decision, mom made one decision in her mind, but when the child went, they feel good. You want them to feel good, so they made that decision because they have to be there all day, not us.
Yeah,
So you can apply for 2 magnet programs, and that way if you do get approved for 2, then you get to make that choice. We're not going to make it for you. And there is hope, you know, on some of those that say got denied at first. Maybe someone that got approved in front of you was approved for 2 magnets, so they chose another spot, so that opened up a seat. So it's good to contact us back and say, no, we want to, you know, we'll do everything we can to help you. If we're able to help you, we'll get your help, you know, do everything. And we're so blessed to be able to reach out to the superintendent and say, I've used all my passes, can you help this
Yeah.
parent? So
And we didn't have any left, but I used my last one for everybody here.
I appreciate
I want to
it.
speak to the process when I saw him, but I want to speak to the process.
Okay.
I saw her name.
Okay, right here, your experience of waiting in choice.
From our first speaker to you, same thing. We went to the showcase, and we were determined he was going to go to Fairview, and he met Miss Haley out at Cobb and decided, okay, this is where I want to go. He didn't want to settle on anything else.
Nice teacher.
So then, yeah, she's beautiful. And my daughter was the same way with Miss Curry for math and for Miss Haley as well. But we got a denial letter. And my son was having a fit every day. Well, Mom, what was the result? Mom, what was the result? And Kennedy just knew she was already in, so she didn't even worry. She said, I know this is going to happen, but my son was sweating bullets because unlike the other actual programs, my child decided he wanted to continue at Leon. And he's big in orchestra. So they started the orchestra program at Cobb, and he was in love with math at the time and science. And so he had so many different things, and he'd already taken his Latin, so we just wanted to keep that going. And now KJ's doing so well. He loves it. All he talks about is how well it is. This choice that we made originally with Cobb ended up with our daughter as well. The same thing with her, because she loved how KJ enjoyed his experience, so she wanted to go there. And now all he talks about is how much he loves Leon. Oh, it's every day it's something. And he's really done well. He loves his teachers. He's now in Orchestra 5 as opposed to starting as a 9th grader. So, you know, it was really something he wanted. And I worried her to death. Every day I was like, well, when is? Because my children were worrying me. So I was like, okay, did you get my letter? Okay, I did what you asked me to do. You know, I was really on it. So it did work out, and both my children are happy with the choices. So
it was a positive experience.
it was the whole thing.
That's great.
And I knew it would work out. We were persistent, you know, that it would be, and it was the right choice because now my children are happy. That's all they talk about. They're doing well in school. Their grades reflect that. And what happened at Cobb has transferred over to Leon, and what happened at Kate Sullivan, because Kennedy ended up having to switch because of that. And the only one thing I would say I would like to see is transportation.
Yes,
because we are working that schedule. That schedule is...
Ronnie's working on that now. No, I'm just kidding. I got him laughing at me. We're working on that right now. One thing, when the students are going into a new school, sometimes they leave some of their friends behind. Was that a problem at all when they, in the first few weeks, or do they just meet new friends right
No.
away, or how does that work? You laughing at me in the back, right here?
Well, I can speak on that experience. Like when my son did school choice to go to Montford, transferring over, some of the friends that he had made at Gilchrist transferred over with him. So that wasn't a problem making new friends, because some of the old friends, he left some friends behind, but the old friends that went with him, so that made the transition easier.
That's
And the
good.
same thing with my daughter when she went to Lincoln and Montford, because we've been doing school choice since they've been able to go to school. I will say the first time we did it with my daughter Danielle, it was much easier. And then when my son came along 5 years later, they was like, well, he could piggyback off her, and then they changed the rules to the game. And they was
Yeah.
like,
Sibling left the school, so you couldn't.
no,
do
the
siblings
sibling was
anymore?
still at the school, because it basically like she had a late birthday, and he was going to kindergarten. I think she was going to the 4th grade, so it basically like they told us he could not piggyback off of her, if that's the right phrase. So that caused some anxiety. And then the same way with this young lady right here, we got a couple of denials when my daughter wanted to go to Montford. I think we got denials when she wanted to go to Leon. I think we got a denial when my son wanted to go to Montford. So I can understand where y'all was coming from, because they was all
Thousands of requests, thousands of
right.
requests.
But it was,
Unfortunately,
their
we don't have
mind was
those.
made up about, okay, I'm going to Montford, I'm going to Lincoln, y'all make it happen. So
That's,
yeah.
And you did it.
Well, I'm not gonna take any credit for that. My wife made it happen. She was gonna make it tonight, so I'm here in
That's
her
great.
place. Right.
That's good though.
Right, but
That's good feedback for me, because, if there's a way that, I think one thing we've always tried to do, in 10 years I've been here, if there's a way to make something smoother and try to find a way to do it, so I like to hear this, because, I worry about the times when they're waiting, it'd be nice if we could just make that decision right.
well, I will say this, with my son going to Gilchrist, I think it finally made it all the way to you and your assistant, because we kept getting denied. So we, for medical reasons, we just kept pushing, because we, knew that's what we wanted, and that was Gilchrist with his sister. So it worked out, like you said.
That's
Thank
great.
God it worked out.
Perseverance.
That's good. Perseverance, hanging in there. Yes, ma'am.
And that, I wanted to speak to process as well.
Sure.
Because everything, I said all this good stuff. And
Yeah,
here
we
comes
need to
the-
hear it.
Here
Yeah.
comes a little punch. But the process, it was, I hear you in terms of getting thousands of letters, but something needs to be done in order to streamline the process. In terms of waiting, I had some anxiety because we had several, kids that are along my son's age group that were either at his school, or they played soccer together, or we knew from the community, and we're all going through the school choice process. And so they were receiving their letters, and I hadn't received one, so I called to figure out, well, hey, folks are getting letters, and I'm thinking I should be getting one too. Nothing ever came. So I had to go up to the school choice office to actually get the letter. But when I went to actually get the letter, I was given, my son we applied for 2 schools. He was accepted for both, okay, on the first go around, no problems, but I did not receive anything in the mail. And so I knew that it was time contingent, so I wanted to get it, get it done and not miss the deadline. And so when I went to the office, I had to get the letter, but I didn't request both letters. It's all about how you ask the question. So I got one letter, but I didn't get the other letter. Then I realized, okay, you're supposed to get 3 letters. And in my mind, I'm thinking 3 letters, okay. Both school, a letter from each of the, stating both accepted into both of the schools, and then a 3rd letter saying pick the school that you want. But it says very clearly that you have to have the letter. You have to have the letter from, stating that you were accepted to that school.
Gotcha.
And I was thinking, well, if I sign this form and send it back and I don't have that letter, then that's going to be a glitch down the road.
Right.
And so it's saying
Might
that
cause
this
you to
letter,
miss out just because you didn't have.
I read it very clearly. It said that having the letter was a requirement. And so it was just a big hassle. So I called and I sent an email, hey, well, I came up there to get a letter, but I only got this one. I don't have the other letter. He wants the other school. We got the letter saying that he was accepted into Fairview, but we didn't have the letter saying that he was accepted into Cobb. And then when I went up there, I got the final letter. And so I'm thinking, well, I still need this letter saying that he was accepted into Cobb. That's the one that I need to have for my record. And it was just frustrating. It was like an act of Congress had to occur to just simply give me a reprint of the letter that was already sent to me. And so if there can be something put in place to, you don't want to make it more complicated, but if there was an online process where you can put both of the schools, and if the final letter had both selections listed on it, then that would even be helpful. Even if you had to bump the due date out further a week
Gotcha.
or two, but something needs to be streamlined.
Smooth
because-
out the process where you don't have to worry about the letters and you can see them in front of you.
Right. Why does the school board have to mail families 3 letters when they can mail 1 with everything on the 1 letter? I mean, when you calculate it, you think of thousands of letters.
Sure.
That's thousands times 3. And I'm quite sure that money probably can be used for ink cartridge in the
I
printer.
need you to help me with one thing too. In elementary, at the beginning of the year, how many forms do you have to sign?
Right.
That's been a thing that I've been trying to work on, because everybody, it seems like every teacher has their own.
Yes.
And what you're talking about is very similar to that. If we
It's
could
a waste
figure
of
out
paper.
something that we could do online that gave, got all the information we needed and submitted it, and then we'd have it one time and not have every year I always get one of in the newspaper. I think they have, what is it called, the zine or something? I always have a parent say, "Can you figure out how to do the?"
Right.
And they're right, because they sign this after about the 6th time they've signed the same form. They start questioning, why can't we do it?
And what got me the biggest part of the whole thing is that when I was asking for the letter, it was kind of like the attitude in terms of as if I was asking for something wrong. And I understand that thousands of letters went out, but if thousands of letters went out, then that means that you have electronic copy on your computer, or maybe you don't.
Probably don't.
No.
No, we
I
don't.
It's
mean,
those thousands.
But then that kind of seals the
That would
point that I'm
probably
making.
help if we did,
In the
maybe.
dinosaur days, it would make sense to not have one, but now that we're in the
Sure.
modern age, there should be something right there that's linked to that student's file or whatever, where you can just, here you go. Or I can
Automated
log
school
into the
choice.
system and I can print it out myself.
Automated. That would make it better where you could do it all like online. That's
If you
good.
have a parent portal, then why can't you have the application
Right, I thought about
tagged
the
into
parent
that?
portal.
Yeah, I
We
think
wanna know about
that's
grades.
good input. We appreciate it. Yes, ma'am. Good
I'd
stuff.
just like to say that each child is an individual, and so each child has a queue, and so each child get their own letter. So if it needs to go in the file, it goes in that child's file, and not every sibling's file.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect for it to go on every sibling's child, every sibling's
Is that why
file.
we
You
do
was
it?
asking about all the papers.
Is that what we do?
I'm talking about in terms of the 1 letter for the 3 letters for that 1 child. Not
Okay.
siblings, just 1 child.
That's probably done.
Well, see,
All right. Yes,
in
sir.
our situation, our son wanted to go to Leon, and at first we received an acceptance letter for Kennedy, and then so
You get one in, one out.
right.
Oh, that
so
was a
then,
good one.
So then we're sitting on Pennsylvania, and we
Sure.
received a rejection letter from Leon, but it was when we checked on it, it said that he had been accepted
So I think
into Leon. So,
We made a mistake.
well, I
I
don't
think
know.
it was in transition.
Yeah.
Sometimes one would go out and later the other.
Or
I think
maybe
that's
you appealed.
Yeah,
If
we
you
did.
appealed and you're getting, and so we're telling you, you got approved, but then you get a letter of denial.
Yeah.
To save money for the county, we don't mail every day with stamps. I think we go around and collect all the mail and then take it to get bulk rate so we get discount. But sometimes if you
Might
get a
be
phone
late
call and
catching
say,
up.
yeah, you got approved, and then your letter's denial, it is.
That's good. So anything we can do to give more, like what I'm hearing, direct feedback that you could access, and if you could do it online anyway, it would really improve the process if we could do that. So that's good. That's good feedback.
Superintendent, one thing that when they were asking about transportation, I have the privilege of having that website in front of me all the time, Leon County Schools website, and everybody has taken ownership of their own departments. So we're able to, like if you go to the Leon County School website and you pick the school choice department, it'll tell you every magnet school, their showcases that they're having at their site, their on-site where you can sign up to shadow, and you can shadow it. If you're looking at middle schools, you could shadow at every middle school that are the options. There's 5 choices.
How do they
for
schedule
magnet.
it? Do they call the
With
school and then they do that?
But it's listed on my website. Some will say just contact us, and some will say that there are certain days that they have it, so you can schedule it. And we really encourage the parents to let those kids shadow at all those choices.
Did everybody shadow? We did, yeah, everybody. So, and the shadowing was a good experience? Okay, so that was good.
I did want to say though, just real quick on the transportation at Raw, after I redid my work schedule and took a couple lunch breaks and worked longer hours just so I could get my girls to school and back, sacrifices we make. I saw a sign as I was leaving out that was like, school district services transportation, $200 a month or something. So I'm like, I just took a picture of it with my phone real quick, and I'm like, let me check into this. Like, what is the because coming from, my girls coming from elementary school, you just assume that they have after school program. I'm like, I'll just put them in after school.
Yeah.
Well, like, when school starts, I'm like, I need information about after school programs. They're like, we don't have any. And I'm like, oh, okay, here we go again. Oh my gosh. So I did my work schedule and everything, but the school district services is a bus service. So I don't know how many parents are aware of it or not, but I think they're contracted with the district. I don't know about contracted or they're a private
They're
company.
private. They used to
Okay.
work for us, and they have about 6 buses
Yeah.
total, and they run independently and do charge fees.
Okay. Do they do field trips though with Leon County Schools?
They have done in the past a few that we couldn't, like this past year, they did do our choral.
Okay, yeah, because it does say that on their website, like they do field trips with Leon County Schools and stuff,
They
but,
don't contract with individual field trips at school level.
okay, all right.
But what I wanted to tell you all about on the website, on our Leon County website, if you choose transportation, if you look at the departments and choose transportation, every single bus stop for every single street is listed there. You pick the school that your child would want to, that you're thinking about reassigning to, and it would, you could see every bus stop they have for that school, and you can use one of the bus stops that are already in place. You can't request your own transportation for reassignment, but if there's a bus already in place, you can see the time it comes there in the morning and the afternoon, and then you can let transportation know that you would like to, your child will
You
be at
kind of
that
hop
bus.
on right there, yeah.
It's the morning, that morning piece and that 2-hour difference
Yeah.
between middle school and high
Oh,
school
yes.
work
That is
schedule. It has been a nightmare.
I know, but, yeah, but I couldn't imagine what it would be like for traffic-wise if everybody was on the street.
Yes, sir.
I have a question
Sure.
about that because what Ms. Keisha was saying that 2 hours, because so many years ago when I was in school, middle school started before elementary, so why did that?
Boy, you're opening up the can now. You're good. No, you're right. No, we got a school start time committee now.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Youngblood and I, there's a whole group that are on that because what we had when I first was elected, and back then, I don't know if you remember, we had almost 22 school start times.
Right.
And some elementaries would start early, and some, it was all over the map.
Okay, I didn't know
And
that.
to save dollars, what we did is I started calling around other school districts. Somebody's figured this out, and I found out almost every district had a 3-tier system. So we went to the 3-tier system. It saved us millions of dollars because then you can organize it. But even with that, the debate you get into, and you still get into, and we're discussing it right now, who goes first? Because there is some research out there that shows that, high school kids are better if they stay in later, or, elementary should go first, middle. But no matter what you do, somebody's going to be affected because, like right now, if you look in our district, I believe our middle schools are starting, 9:30? 9:30 right now. And if you move high school from 7:30, and let's say you wanted to move high schools to 8 o'clock. That means now you'd have your middle school starting, at 10 or close?
If you progressively move, because the 3-tier, you gotta have time in between.
So you got the time there. And the reason why I don't want to put our elementary school kids first, and this is just something I've always been against and concerned about, is I don't want them out in the dark catching buses. Now, some districts, about half of them, probably, is it half that does?
29%.
29%.
Out of 67 districts.
Out of 67 districts, 29, have elementary go. Most of them have the high school going first. Is that right?
49% of the high schools still go first.
49% go first. So no matter what you get into, it's hard to figure it out. And one of the things we hear from high school, the kids, they like the idea of being able to get out early and go ahead and work or participate in an after-school after a club or athletics and all that. So they like that. And some of them are in other type of organizations. They want to volunteer. And we're encouraging our kids to take an extra period now in high school because, to graduate and graduate on time. And if they want to take I've heard a lot about music. A lot of the kids like to take an extra music class. So if they do that, they got to make that other class up, and either they can take it virtually or they can take it there. So that's another whole, and we're working that issue right now because we have some parents that want to give us some input on that, just like what we're doing right now, to help make our system better and to listen and see if we can do that. But the school start times, that was the first year I was elected, and this is a true story, for about a week, I wondered why anybody would want to be superintendent. I mean, I get phone calls for transportation. It never would stop. And I told Ronnie, I said, man, this is, and I called the former superintendent. He said, don't worry, after about 2 weeks, they'll quit calling. I said, no, but they'll still be mad. They'll be upset. So we made a lot of improvements in transportation.
So did y'all move, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, we did move. Middle school at one time was first, is that right?
One time, actually, middle schools, they started at 7:30 and changed. And the problem we have with we were allowing schools to select their start time rather than us dictating. And we could
They all
not
get together.
get kids to school
Right.
on time. And we could not get back in the afternoon after running a run to get the kids off of the bus ramps. They've been dismissed and they were sitting 45 an hour.
Right.
And it was a huge
And
problem.
elementary has the breakfast issue too. They've got to have time to eat breakfast too when they get there. So.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
And
so the 3-tier has worked great for us because of it takes us about an hour in between, but it
Right.
takes, when you go from high school to the next level, because the high school is our biggest geographical area.
Right.
We go all the way to the dam out in Lake Tahoe. We go all the way to Fairbanks Ferry,
Right.
Monticello, Wakulla. It takes us that when you're making the 3,000 stops. And you're running all of these specialty programs that you're talking about.
Right.
Because those kids come from all over the district.
Right.
So it's a.
So y'all just decided to switch middle school and elementary?
We looked, not just that, it took us about a year of processes and meeting to look at what we felt was best and that we were most comfortable with our elementary in the middle because of parents having to leave or have so many of our elementary parents that like to take them.
Right.
And we felt our middle schools were old enough to stay back.
Okay.
And then the high
And that's how we
schools-
made that decision and flipped them. We flipped them at one time and then
And
made
a lot
middle
of our-
school
A lot
go
of our high
west.
school kids also, they are the daycare for younger siblings when they get out of high school.
Right.
So we hear that, quite a bit.
Okay.
And I also have always, we've always done it this way, but I've also had concern about, kids that leave campus for lunch.
Right.
That's always been a concern too for me that, as superintendent, that because it's only a short period of time that they have, and I don't know, it's always made me feel a little uneasy. And what I'd like to do eventually, if we can get the government to cooperate with us on this, is to be able to bring different vendors onto your campus, but the federal lunch guidelines won't allow us to do that. Because we could do that, then I think I could go in and say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have Chick-fil-A or Taco Bell, and even though they might not be the healthiest choices, and I'd rather have them eat something healthy at lunch, a good salad or something, or maybe a grilled Chick-fil-A or whatever, but then they'd have those choices to keep the kids on campus. I think that would be a good thing for us to try to do down the road, but we've never taken that on yet, but that will be in the future. Back to school choice, though, right here, your experience.
I just want to say thank you for adding the private school option to be able to use school choice at a private school, because we were unaware of that And when that came to pass, it seemed like nobody knew that. And that was an awesome thing to be able to do. So we school choiced into Gilchrist, and it was like a mass exodus from the private school we were at once people understood that. So it was a great resource. And we have since now chosen Bob as well to send her there. And we did sail for our son. So I know that's not school choice, but it's an alternative school.
Sure, it's a great
So it's
school.
a fabulous option.
One of the
So
tops in the state.
I think if you research it, it's very clear that, you know, private school is a school choice option, but people just aren't aware. So I don't know. I don't know if you want more people in the public school system, but if you do a little more advertisement of the fact that that's an option, you would get a lot more.
I appreciate you, Brandon. Let me tell you the philosophy behind that. I was in, my office one day and we're talking about competition, because I believe in competition. I think we've got to compete. You know, we've got to compete. We've got to show everybody what we have to offer. Are we really as good as we think we are? I mean, we know that we're the #1 ranked majority school district in the state. We know that we're a high performer, all that. But in the end, you still got to compete. So one of the things I said, let's compete. Let's go out and send a letter out. And we have all the other choice programs. Let's do a charter school choice and a private school choice. And I think if we can get them back and let them get a taste of what we do, we might be able to keep them, because my goal is I wanted to get as many parents back with us as we could. So we put it out, and you're one of those that tried it and you liked it. And so it's a good story. And now you go from Gilchrist to Cobb. So you're right in you're moving right through the system, and you'll have other choices to look at. And I think it's been very good for us, and I'm proud of that. And it's also, I tell you, I think it helps our charter schools and our private schools to really be focused too, because we're competing with each other. And I think a lot of them do a very good job. I mean, I've always said that. I mean, we never say negative things about our competition, but what we want to do, if I can get our parents to come try our program out, they might like it. And that's what's happened with that. So I think it's been very good for our system, and we're going to keep trying to do it. And also not trying to say, let me tell you, a lot of people zone their schools and do schools. And this is all around the state, you'll see this. And it's easy to do it, but you figure out how many students you got. And if it's 2,000 students, and you've got 4 schools, you're going to have 500 here, 500 here, 500 there. And then you force that model into your system to make it work. It's easy. You draw your lines based on those 500, 500, 500, 500. That's how most school districts operate. I really feel strongly that that I believe in neighborhood schools always have. We've got some middle schools that only have 450 students, but that's okay. That neighborhood supports that school. They want to go there, and it makes it more difficult for us. But what we've got to do is the same philosophy there. We got to convince everybody, try this, look at it, and do it. And that's how we've always done it. Now, and for 10 years, it's created a lot of work on us, but in a certain way, it's made us a lot more competitive with private schools and with charter schools to understand that we want our parents to think that our education is the best, and they want to be with us. And that's why we've done it that way. But you'd be surprised, in a lot of districts, that's how they do it. And I also don't believe in putting children on buses for an hour and a half a day. I've never been a big believer in that, even though we have some routes that go way out and they have to. But at one time when I was at Deer Lake Middle School as principal, and probably then, I don't know if Bev was at the district then or she might have been at NIMS and left to come to the district, but we had kids that were riding buses from Killearn all the way to Raw. And then when Deer Lake filled up, we had buses that ran from Deer Lake to Raw for overflow. So you had kids on the northeast at that time when I was Deer Lake's principal that were on buses an hour and a half a day. And finally, I just said, I'll take them. When I was principal there, let me have them all back. And I took them all back, and those parents loved me for life because they. But I think sometimes we have to keep our common sense. We lose that because, sure, it's an easy way to zone a school system is to just cut the numbers and say, okay, now we're ready to go. But then if you're the one that's on the edge of that and you end up having to get on a bus for an hour and a half just to make that 500 in that school zone, I'm not sure that's the way we want to do it. So we've we've been real flexible on that, and I think it's been real important because I think it gives parents the opportunity to make choices, and I think choices are good. And I've heard a lot of positive stories tonight. I heard some ways we can improve too, which I like too. And this. So you're new?
Better late than never.
No, we appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
What school did you?
Just wanted to thank you for letting my son Max in Swift Creek.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Has he had a good experience?
Yeah.
That's good.
Worked out real good.
Good school?
Got denied
Happy?
first. I denied.
He died in first.
I was trying not to make eye contact.
You see, she's a denial lady. She denies them and I make everybody happy. But that's good. So it's been a good experience.
Yeah.
Good. Any way you felt like we could improve the process or maybe?
Too soon to tell.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
volunteering at the school.
see, that's good.
Help out.
So how many are involved like that at the school? Are you involved in any way? Good. That's great. We like that. You know, that's good. You can help me also. Now we're recruiting 1,000 mentors for our school district. We got 1,000. I did. We got 1,000 last year, and now the mayor is helping us recruit 1,000 more. And we're trying to get as many mentors as we possibly can. So if you know anybody, and I mentored some, my wife and I do it together because my schedule I always miss, but Ariana she was at Rudiger, and now she's moved to Ra. And so Kay was there today because she sent me her report card. She got all A's and B's and 1 C. And somehow she wants Chick-fil-A next time, you know, for getting all these grants. I guess she feels like as a superintendent, he can get Chick-fil-A, bring it in, you know. So we're going to do that for her. But the mentoring is important for us, and we need help. So if you know anybody that's retired or anybody that's looking, if we can get, you know, our school system is very successful because it's vested in the community. There's not anything we've asked for the community hasn't supported, but mentors are very important to us. And especially with all the new criteria, you know, we fought this over testing our students, and you know, the state keeps coming up, let's test, and you know, we're trying to make sure that we're an advocate and a voice against giving school grades this year because of the way the data we felt like was flawed in the testing situation. So that's something we're working very hard on now too, and trying to make sure that we continue to fight for the fine arts programs. And I think we have the choices of music and orchestra. When I was at Deer Lake, a quick story, I had a school advisory council, just like a meeting like this, that wanted to have a strings program. And I didn't know anything about strings. And I said, why don't we have one? Well, we just never have. And so we found somebody that could teach a period. So we had 1 period of strings. Before I left, we had 6 periods filled up. So like you say, you build it, they'll come, and with a good fine arts program and something. And I really think that's what we have to give our children every day, a reason to want to come to school. And it's those type of courses that we offer and that make them want to come and be part of it.
And sometimes you don't realize that until you have an opportunity like school choice. I mean, if we just went to me being a single parent, I can't afford to live in some certain places in Tallahassee, you know, and of course I want the best for my children, but if I send them, you know, right to the school that we're zoned for, they're not going to get everything they could if we lived over here and we're zoned for this school. So it is a wonderful, I mean, honestly, my girls have done wonderful this year having art, and you know, like Raw has steel drums, and I never knew what that was, but now one of my daughters is like, I want to do steel drums. It's so neat. I want to do steel drums, you know, and I never would have expected that. I mean,
and I think if we get programs like you're saying in all of our schools, then we'll have kids wanting to go into, and that's my goal. Like when I was at the aviation the other day at Gabi, I swear, I'm fired up about that. Kathleen, I got to get those kids to get on that plane. And they went dark, you know, and I'm trying to, and you can see how people lose their, you know, their reasoning, looking at something, I mean, it was pretty cool. And then, but I had the plane like this at one time. I don't know how you do that. I couldn't keep it straight. And it's got all the instruments, and you pull it up and you lift up. And then, but he said, eventually you got to come back down now. We can't keep going straight up. So, but it was cool. Any other comments before I close? We usually only keep you an hour. We're 2 minutes away. But again, I just want to thank y'all for supporting our school system, for participating. You've trusted us with the most valuable resource we have in our community, and that's your children, your child or your children. And they're the future of our community. And again, I thank you. We got a great system. We got a lot of good things going, but what makes it strong is the individuals we have that support us. And thank you. And if there's anything that you heard tonight that you need to email me, your new nickname will be You Tell Them No. Is that what it is? Dr. No? No, I'm just kidding. But we want email us and we'll listen tonight to what we heard about possibly improving. And again, thank you. Yes, sir.
One question now. The sibling, just like our son is at Leon and our daughter's at Cobb, in 2 years she will be getting ready to go into high school. And we're zoned for Ricketts. But of course we would want her to be out with her brother. Is that going to be a problem?
I give my answer, then Superintendent. Well, and one thing, so you, in that Neola is the policy that I refer to. Everyone has to qualify because reassignment is such a privilege. And so their seats are valuable, especially at schools that are so over capacity. So everyone has to qualify by having good attendance and good behavior. So sometimes you might have a sibling in one school, not saying that yours would, but just know when I get those applications, even though you have a sibling there, it's not an automatic approval. I have to make sure they have good attendance and good behavior before that we send them to Leon. And then
Sounds like you're in good shape.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're in good shape.
We hope so.
We hope so.
I don't want to have to.
Yes, sir.
Well, ma'am, I'm gonna piggyback off him because I got the same situation coming up in 2 more years.
Well, the card's right up here.
Right. It's good y'all were here tonight because we'll remember y'all. I said, look, make sure we take care of them. They were there.
That's right.
They came to meet and we got to at least listen to what they had to say. We'll work with you.
Okay,
We'll work
sounds
with you.
good.
We're here.
Now,
for
we
you.
don't have to, do we apply every year while they're in that
and that
school?
was a question I get all the time. Once you're approved for the school, you're approved for the duration of the school.
Okay.
And so even if you move out of zone or move again, you're still approved to stay there. You just got to fill out another form just to say, I want to grandfather and stay here. I'm moving. But you're approved to stay. Once you're approved, you're approved.
And
The
there's
only way
nothing we need to
lose
turn
that-
into you guys like next year when my
Yeah.
girls are going to seventh.
No,
Seventh.
you don't have to do anything.
Okay.
You're good. They expect you to stay until you finish 8th grade. And so the only way that you would lose that privilege is if they've had, bad attendance or conduct, but it doesn't sound like you have.
We've got all their email addresses, right?
We
Do we
do.
have their home addresses?
Yeah. Did everybody sign the clipboard that when you come in? So
I
have-
understand, but I didn't see anywhere for a home address. I just saw.
Oh, no, this has your, I can track you.
Yeah.
But I could get their home address.
Sure,
So if I went up
Oh, yeah.
and I knocked on their door and said, how do you like school choice? I could
Yeah.
find their
Oh,
home
yes,
and do, okay,
yes.
good.
So we have you on that.
Don't be
main
surprised, I come
spreadsheet
knocking on your
yourself.
door, I'm gonna say, here I am, what are we having?
That's right.
Iced tea, coffee, what we got right here?
And I'll say whatever you want.
These are doors I wanna knock on.
She said knock in 2 years, right?
Yeah, knock in 2 years.
Back in 2 years.
We'll be coming knocking on these doors.
Also, I was mentoring, and I think my mentorship has expired. When do you do the renewal, or do I just?
How do we do
That's on
that?
our website too. Now, everything now is on, and we're trying to get more online stuff. So even the school choice application, you can fill it out online, but you have to print it because you need principal signatures. Well, now with the volunteer and the mentor, you can apply online, and then you'll get an email to let you know if it's approved or what your next step will take. And that's Denise Harold, so she's wonderful to work with. But now that application's online too.
Yeah, that's how we feel.
I'm gonna do a meet and greet with
Yeah.
school choice. These are great parents to
Oh,
deal with.
I know.
They're happy, they're
I
doing
know.
good. Things are going good
You
for
see
them.
why I love my job.
You love doing them. Well, thank y'all for coming. I'm gonna hang around and thank you for supporting our school system. We appreciate it. Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you.